Have you ever opened up your benefits packet during open enrollment and just felt completely lost? Yeah, you are not alone. It seems like what used to be a really simple standard package has exploded into this whole universe of choices. So today, we're going to demystify all of it. We'll break down how we went from that old one-size-fits-all model to the custom-fit plans we see today. Let's dive in.
It really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Especially when you're trying to figure it all out. Why are employee benefits so complicated these days? Well, the simple answer is choice. But to really get what that means, we need to take a quick look at how we even got here.
And this slide just perfectly sums up that whole journey. Over on the left, you've got the old way, right? A very simple, rigid pipeline. Money from the employer and the employee goes into one bucket for a fixed set of benefits. But on the right, that's the new way, the cafeteria plan. It's like a central hub that branches out into a whole menu of options. Different medical plans, spending accounts, you name it.
So let's start with the problem that this whole new system was designed to fix. It turns out, when it comes to something as personal as benefits, one size really does fit, well, none.
Think about it. The traditional approach was super straightforward. A company, mostly worried about its own bottom line, would just create one single benefits package. Didn't matter if you were 22 and single or 45 with 3 kids, you got the exact same stuff. No wiggle room, no exceptions.
And you can see right here why that old model just started to crumble. I mean, today's workforce is incredibly diverse. A fresh college grad has totally different needs than someone who's looking at retirement. And that mismatch, it leads to benefits that nobody uses, which is just wasted money. And honestly, it can make a company look pretty out of touch in today's job market.
Which brings us to the big solution, an idea that really changed the whole game when it comes to how we think about benefits, the cafeteria plan.
And the name is perfect. Seriously, think of it like walking into a restaurant or going up to a buffet. Instead of the chef just handing you a plate, you get to pick and choose what you want. You decide if you need a beefier health plan this year, or maybe a dependent care spending account, or some extra life insurance. It literally puts the power to build your own package right in your hands.
And get this, the results are so clear. When companies offer this kind of flexibility, it's not just about the benefits. Employees actually report being happier with their jobs and their pay, because that feeling of autonomy makes them feel more valued. And here's the key part. Because they have to make choices, they actually develop a much better understanding of their total compensation. It's a win-win.
Now, the secret sauce that makes this all possible is a little piece of the tax code called Section 125. This is what lets you pay for all those benefits with money that's taken out of your paycheck before the government calculates your taxes. What does that mean for you? It means you're lowering your taxable income, which saves you money. So it's not just about choice, it's about a smarter, more tax-efficient way to pay for things.
Okay, so not all cafeterias have the same layout. Companies have a few different ways they can structure these plans and let you design your own.
So let's look at the most common ways these are structured. First, you've got modular plans. Here, your employer basically creates a few preset meals, like Package A for young singles, Package B for families, and you just pick the one that fits you best. Then there's Core Plus option plans. With these, everyone gets a basic set of core benefits. And then you get some credits to add on extras that you personally need.
But for the absolute peak of customization, you have the Mix and Match plan. This is the real deal. Your employer gives you a budget of what they call flexible credits. Each credit is worth $1, and you basically go shopping from a full menu. You can buy any combination of benefits you want at whatever level you need until you use up your credits. It's the closest you can get to a totally personalized benefits experience.
Of course, with all this amazing choice comes a little bit of complexity. There are definitely some rules to follow, and you guessed it, a lot of fine print to understand.
So, to keep that special tax status, these plans have to play by a few key rules. First, the plan has to be a formal written document. It has to offer a real choice, like cash versus a non-taxable benefit. Also, your choices are locked in for the whole year. And maybe most importantly, the plan can't be set up in a way that favors the highest paid people at the company. These rules are basically the guardrails that keep the system fair for everyone. And just like a real menu, not everything can be included. Section 125 is very specific about what it considers a qualified benefit. So things like health plans, HSAs, and dependent care, they're on the menu. But stuff like scholarships, education assistance, or company-provided transportation, nope, those are off limits. It's really good to know what you can and can't use those valuable pre-tax dollars for.
Now, this right here is so important. There's a federal law, ERISA,
that actually requires employers to explain all this stuff in plain, simple language. They are not allowed to hide behind a bunch of confusing legal jargon. The whole point is that the average employee, a normal person, should be able to understand exactly what they're signing up for.
And this is the moment where all goes down. Open enrollment. It's that one time of year, usually a few weeks in the fall, where you get to sit down, look at everything, and make your final choices for the entire next year. If you miss that window, you are generally stuck with what you've got until the next one comes around. So it's a pretty big deal.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the bottom line. Because all these benefits are obviously incredibly valuable, but they aren't free. There are some pretty sophisticated strategies in place to manage the rising costs for both you and your employer.
Yeah, cost control is definitely a team sport here. You chip in through your payroll deductions. A lot of companies have waiting periods for new employees to help manage costs. High-deductible health plans are also a really common tool. They keep the monthly premium lower by having you pay more of the upfront costs. And then, behind the scenes, you've got insurers who are constantly reviewing care to make sure it's necessary and cost-effective. But there are protections in place for you. While those waiting periods are common, the Affordable Care Act put a firm limit on them, at least for health insurance. An employer cannot make a new hire wait more than 90 days to be eligible for health coverage. That's a really crucial protection for people starting a new job.
When you look at all these rules and different plans, it all points to one big idea. We've gone from a simple system where someone else made the decisions to one that gives us an incredible amount of power and flexibility. But with that power of choice comes a real responsibility. A responsibility to actually understand our options and make smart decisions.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about for the future. We're already seeing AI pop up in the workplace to help guide employees through this whole process. So as that technology gets smarter and smarter, could it be the thing that finally makes choosing the perfect benefits as simple as answering a few questions? That could be the next huge leap forward.